Are you ready?
Welcome, Geekend Warriors. This is your host, David Marks, and his equally significant co-host, Joshua Gaines. And with us today, we have Matt, I'm probably going to butcher your last name, Gullett.
That's perfect.
And Eddie Bartlett.
Mm-hmm.
These two men, I think, are the men when it comes to tabletop RPG in East Texas. I can't go anywhere without hearing their names. It's crazy. It is true.
We're seeing their wanted posters.
Exactly.
Yes, they're like mafia bosses. I mean, you can't go anywhere without somebody owing them a favor. They run the Long Con. They used to run Red River Con. I believe they are the poster children for Goodman Games in East Texas, because I don't know anybody else that runs as many Goodman Games in East Texas as Matt and Eddie.
Which makes this my favorite episode, because you get to join the dark side now.
Yes, well, I am trying to learn DCC. I really am.
It's easy.
It is super easy.
Super easy.
Once you get past the luck mechanic and the rolling for spells, there's nothing else that's difficult.
But I love the
That's
luck
really
it has gotten
yes,
in
that
every
is
other game.
that is the best mechanic ever
Running
made.
CNC last night, which I love CNC, but I kept wanting to go. At one point, I was like, "We'll make a look." Oh shit! Yeah.
That gets into that yes and GMing. You don't have to tell anybody
No.
because you can go roll a dice and it's
test your luck,
fault.
and then you be mad at the dice and not me.
For our viewers who don't know what CNC is, you want to explain to them?
Oh, sure. Castles and Crusades is, and I hate to make these comparisons, but people need that sometimes to kind of grasp what it's like. It's got the nostalgia for the old guard of like 2nd edition D&D, but it doesn't have that stank of like FACO and the really weird saving throws.
Dear, yes.
And so you've got the ascending armor class, which everyone loves these days, and it's got stats as saves, which another game does, but they did it first. Actually, Troll Lords is just a trio of guys out of Little Rock, Arkansas. Great guys, have been gaming forever. Just really, anyone that's ever met them, they're super nice guys. And they were the last company to work with Gary Gygax before he passed away.
Okay.
But Castles and Crusades is their tentpole, and that's fantasy RPG. I really can't recommend it enough. It really is a good one, and you can get the player PDF for free. Player's Handbook. Anyway,
And that's not a paid endorsement. That's
no,
his real.
I wish it
from
was
heart.
paid.
Yes, no, nothing about this episode is a paid endorsement at all. We are, unfortunately, we are doing this all for free. Yes, and speaking of shameless promotions, let's talk about Long Con.
Okay.
You love talking about the Long Con, man.
Well, I do. I really do. So we've been doing this.
Back in the winter of 1963.
It was a cold day in 1983. No, so this is our 7th year, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so, we used to go, well, we still go to North Texas RPG. We can't recommend them enough. Great bunch of guys. Awesome con. It's in Dallas every June. But we went for, 2 or 3 years in a row. And one day we were like, you know what? We could do this.
Yeah, it's like, why should we only do it once a year?
Yeah.
It'd be nice if they had 2 of those.
Yeah. And so we had the crazy idea to try to start a con. And we thought, Longview, how well will it do? We'll just do one day to test the waters. And we figured we'd get maybe 30 people, maybe, and 20 of them would be the people we already gamed with in our local game club. Mm-hmm. We had 75 people.
Yep.
The very first one blew our mind. So yeah.
And that was one of the hardest days of our lives, I think, that one day con for the very first time.
It even kind of tested our friendship a little bit. I mean,
it tested your grit and metal.
But yeah.
And after all this time, how many days is this Long Con going to be?
4.
This is the longest Long Con. 4. He had the brilliant idea of let's add Thursday and shorten Sunday. And everybody has really embraced it so far.
Yeah, and on Sunday we're going to do the Gamers Flea Market. So if you got stuff you want to try and sell or swap with somebody, trade, bring it out. We're not charging any fees.
Yeah, it's free. You just come out for the swap meet.
You don't need a badge for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just come out and see what people have that they want to get rid of, and if you got stuff to get rid of, go for it.
And this never lacks surprising. I tell people and tell people and tell people. And still I've had people that like, I'll go, hey, why didn't you come out to the con? They go, well, I wasn't going to play games. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you could interact with other vendors. And they're like, well, I don't want to buy a ticket. And I'm like, you don't have to have a ticket to interact with our vendors. So even if you're like, well, I don't know if I want to pay to play games, even though you're getting a shit ton of gaming for the price.
Which our price has remained the same pretty much since year 4.
Every other con has went up over time because of, the economics and you have to pay the hotel. But we've held the line. But anyway, that being said, you can come in and interact with our vendors for free. And the great thing is, we've got a crap ton of vendors this year, like the most ever. Really neat, eclectic stuff that you might go, oh, I mean, we've got a game store. Dude, you'll see stuff you've never seen before.
Like Etten Games will bring in all his old D&D stuff, and he'll have that old lead that people love so much.
Mm-hmm. And very reasonably priced. And there's always some neat thing to be found. And our buddy Ben Burns usually will have some cutting edge, like now everyone's probably seen the little flashing LED dice, but he had those before anyone had them, and like at our con and stuff.
We'll have Dragon's Nest and Geek World.
Absolutely, yeah.
So just a ton. We're going to have a DCC booth set up too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's needless to say. I mean, I don't know how much business you guys have probably drawn in for DCC. I don't think I've ever even heard of DCC until I've met you guys.
Well, so we're part of what they call the Road Crew, and actually we're Road Reavers. Put your pinky out. But no. So we definitely they do this, and it's really.
But what's a Reaver mean? Come on, man. If you're going to drop it out there, you have to say that's the elite.
Yeah. I mean, there's like Road. There's like the Road.
Road Crew is anybody and everybody.
You could go, hey man, I'd love to run some games and help promote a game I really enjoy, which is DCC.
And then we've been Roadworthy.
Yeah, and then they found us Roadworthy, so they did a profile for us on their website. Because I loved the game and I wanted it to be Johnny Appleseed and introduce people to it so they'd want to play it and maybe run a game for me. And so I ran, was it something like 15, 16 games the first year? Which is, I mean, if you really do the math on that, coordinating and running that many games at very different divergent game stores, like I ran over in Shreveport and Bossier and over in Tyler and here in Longview nearby. And then he proceeded to grab the baton the next year and ran just as many or more games. You know, but what's cool is Goodman will give you free swag that they either to keep for yourself or better yet give away to people that show up to play games, and I love that people love freebies and it's stickers and pencils and iron-ons.
People are so impressed with anything they get for free. So I mean,
cool dice with their logo on it. But then as a thank you, like if you run as many games as we did, they'll send you a really nice, great big cast metal belt buckle that's got like a wicked looking demon's head and says DCC or something. And
then when you get to be the Road Reaver level, that's kind of like you're recognized amongst your peers for quality games. It's the sign of Goodman Games.
Well, and just being someone who's ran and promoted the game and is known as really promoting the game. So, but no, it's cool. So that's, nobody really heard of DCC around here. And Eddie and I, you beat the bushes and hit the streets, and it wasn't long before a couple of game stores in Shreveport were carrying the product, and other stores in the area. The one in Longview, Geek World. Geek World has quite a selection of.
Yeah, they're fantastic. If you just want the best RPG selection around, I give it to them.
I mean, you got to give it to them.
Even surprising still, there's no one that runs DCC out of Geek World, though, that I know of.
Yeah.
It's weird, but that gets into the whole, the time of the COVID.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Before, there was a lot going on, and then there came that, is it open, is it not open for play?
Yeah.
So,
because there used to be a guy that was one of Eddie's frequent players. He moved away, but he was...
Shane
was at Kicking A and taking names or whatever.
He had a kids group of DCC, if you can believe that.
Uh-huh.
Which is... DCC is a little metal, you know what I mean? And not to say you couldn't run it for kids, but yeah, I mean, it's I feel like a game that's a little more dark, a little more metal,
But it seems like at least RPGs in general are back sprouting at Geek World again.
Yeah, which is good.
Which now I'm kind of hopeful. Maybe I can tap into a market because, like I said, I know at Adventure Day I'm the only one that runs DCC over there on Adventure Day.
And I'm sure they're glad for it because they've got a good section of the dedicated. Which I mean, not just DCC, the fantasy. There's MCC, the post APOC. And then there's other derivatives like Weird Frontiers.
Have you been doing your road crew, getting credit for it?
No, I don't know how to sign up for that.
Oh.
Just on the website, or?
Yeah, we'll talk you through
We'll
it.
talk you through it later. But yeah, it's really easy. And they'll hook you up with swag and all that cool stuff, man.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so let's talk about the short-lived Red River. Was it short-lived?
2
years.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about it. Little old Longview, first day con, just testing the waters. I only did one day. We didn't want to lose our shirt because we had to pay quite a bit for the little convention space in that first hotel. We'll just do one day. Bam, 75 people. So Eddie, who's normally very stoic, he was so animated, excited. He's like, dude, 75 people. Think what we do in a market like Shreveport Bossier. Oh, man, So I was like, so the excitement was infectious. And I was like, let's do it.
Well, don't forget to mention that when we first started dating, first met, it was
It probably feels like a marriage at this point.
It was Bossier City, Shreveport.
Yeah.
So we knew more, or at least as many people as we knew in Longview. So we were like, our people will come out.
Yeah, that's my old stomping grounds. I used to help run a convention in Bossier back in the early aughts. So I thought, this is a sure thing. We can do this in Longview. So we went through the motions. And the first hurdle was finding a venue in Shreveport Bossier.
So expensive.
Yeah, every place was like, that'll be $10,000 or something.
Which is their way of saying we don't want you.
Yeah, and that was how many years ago by now?
Well, we're on the 7th long con. It was only...
Well, about 5 years ago. So, even then, they wanted like 10,000 or something at some of these places. Yeah. So finally we found the Ramada over near the airport, which I think now is condemned, and there's like a sheet hanging out one of the windows. But we end up securing that. But what's funny was you come in and it was a little dated, but like the front desk was nice, the atrium was nice. Maybe we see the convention space. Oh, there's a beautiful chandelier, and it had like a fresh coat of paint. And we're like, this is really nice. We never really thought to ask to see a hotel room. So anyway,
yeah, the rooms were just the most cracked out looking rundown hotel you've ever seen.
6 months later, we show up the day of the con, and I've got all this gear, and we're bringing it in, and I got my bag on my shoulder. I finally go into the room. As I'm walking down the hallway towards my room, there's like lights flickering, and there's strange stains on the wall. There's a guy like slumped against the wall near what I hope is his door, and it looked like he was... Yeah. Anyway, and
my kid loves to watch the hotel hell shows. So he was like, "This is great. Yeah. This is the worst thing I've ever seen."
Yeah, there's stains on the carpet, the walls. Like I said, someone slumped against the wall, flickering lights. I go into my room and it feels really warm. And this is in what time?
No,
it's springtime.
March.
Yeah, March. It's like really kind of warm, and like I've got really bad allergies, and like almost immediately my eyes feel like someone's rubbing sandpaper on them. So I call him. I was like, "Hey, I'm not my ears." Working, and man, it smells like mold in here really bad. Guy comes in, and there's this antiquated heating and cooling system, and he pulls this pan out of water, and there's like a thick carpet of this black mold like floating. And I was like, what the hell, dog? I'm like, get me another room. So okay, one of our buddies that comes to the game day, he's come to our conference, he's a good friend of ours in the local community. He's a good guy. I don't think I've ever hardly heard him use a profane word. And we're riding the elevator like the next morning down. And I said, so what do you think of the hotel? And he looks over at me and says, it's a shithole. So anyway, but still, the con went fairly well. But we only had 50 people. But the vendors we had knocked out of the park, made a ton of money. We broke even.
Yeah, so we actually had Frog God show up for it.
That was year 2, though.
Was it?
Yeah, it was year 2.
Okay.
But anyway, so it did well enough. And we thought, you got to kind of get the word out and build things up. Oh, and on the note that we have so many friends we know back in Shreveport was the game, not one of them showed up.
Well,
oh, wow.
One or two.
Okay, one or two.
But the majority of it was people from Longview and Longcon that made the drive over.
But still one thing I'll say, I'm so glad we did Red River Inn, that there are people that we connected with or reconnected with there in Shreveport that now make the trip to Longview. Yep. Which, Adrian is a good friend. She did show up, and she brought
TJ and Leela.
And she brought Jonathan Thompson, God rest his soul. And so that's how we kind of built that relationship, because his was Battlefield Press, which I think his brother's now taken over since his passing. But anyway, that was year 1. So year 2, we thought, man, it's going to go gangbusters. And I'll tell you this, we didn't just go, all right, we're doing economy. We went weekends building up to it months in advance. We went to game stores, coffee shops, bookstores. We're putting up posters. We're shaking hands. We're kissing babies. We're doing everything we can to promote this year, too. Guess how many people showed up here, too? 50 people.
Oh, wow.
Same as the first time. So I was so disillusioned. And I want to think to a certain degree you were, too, that we were like, man, forget this.
But I can't let things go.
Yeah.
Any idea that I have is a fantastic idea. Yeah. So I hate to see any of them go.
So the hilarious thing is we're over here talking about how, like, I'm fixing to take it out behind the shed and put a bullet in its head. And all of a sudden, the Frog God guys, one of them that's a pal of ours, comes up and goes, oh, my God, guys, we've made more money at this con than we've ever made at any con we've ever went to. And they weren't at the damn table half the time. Half of them are smokers, so they're all taking smoke breaks, and we're never watching their booth. So even
or they're out sampling the fine Cajun food.
Exactly, going to the boat. And because this was a business trip, they got to ride it off, and they're eating good. So anyway, they're like going, you can count on us for next year. And we're like, on that note,
well, they're like, please don't stop doing this con.
Yeah, and we were like, dude, it's already been decided. But
and then we had somebody that was going to buy it off of us.
Yeah, somebody wanted to buy the name and
but that never happened.
The artwork and stuff, because the artwork was cool because it's Shreveport Bossier. We used purple and gold. Right there, people go butt ass crazy for purple and gold. And then the guy that Eddie found to do the artwork, he did a fleur de lis, but it's a, what's the creature? The creature that's got a goat head, a chimera. It's a chimera. The thing that sticks up is like a dragon head, and then a lion head, and then the goat head. It was really cool. So I mean,
that's one of our best designs ever, and I'm sorry we don't get to use it.
I know. In fact, I have a polo with that design on it, and I wear it all the time because it looks cool. It's a shame that, but yeah, it kind of died on the vine.
But it didn't, because that sprouted into Long Con Spring. Someone is like, why are there 2 long cons? That's why. Because they were like, please keep this going. Yeah. And everybody at that point in time just loved it. And we're like, all right, we'll move it over to Longview and see how it goes. And we actually did go, maybe we'll move it to Tyler.
Yeah, that was
the talk of that. But again, Tyler, super expensive venues. So
I don't know. I mean, the Rose Garden, you can get them rooms in the Rose Garden for like $400 a day, and then they got the dividers that pull out, and each one of them rooms are about.
Is that a hotel?
No, it's okay. You know where Harvey Hall is?
Well, we're married to hotels.
Oh.
Yeah, it's one of the things that our participants really like is the fact that, like, right after the game, you can stagger to the bar, get snockered, and then malinger, and then you can stagger to a room without drinking and driving.
Why have I not heard of the Long Con before I moved here?
I have no idea.
That is my perfect experience right there.
Yeah, but
just go drink and go.
Yeah. We are getting there because you'll see a lot of interviews where people are talking about TTRPG, Gary Con, Game Hole, and Long Con. So it's an honor to be mentioned in the same breath.
It really is. And one of the things I'll say that I'm really proud of the guys at North Texas, I'm sure there's that urge to get bigger, but the real charm of North Texas is it's that sweet spot. It's like they cap it at 500. At least last I heard. Yep. And so there's a lot of games, but it's small enough that I know everybody. Now, I've been going for 13 years.
People, I know them all.
And I know the grand majority.
I'm being serious.
Or I can go, I couldn't tell you his name, but I've gamed with that guy, a dozen times through the years.
I have a story about everybody here.
But I knew a guy that he was like, man, it's all about Gary Con. This was about 6-7 years ago. I was like, oh, it's so great. It's so great. Yeah, well, by the time we got to go, it had already grown so big. It's too big. That's some of these cons. They're too big. And that's my personal opinion. I mean,
right?
Your mods. You might like them. Like, oh boy, there's 10,000
and then you can say, do they
here.
have a bias because they're a small con? But really, no. That's my preference. Like Gen Con, something with what are they? 100,000 or something crazy?
Yeah,
like just elbow to elbow. And no, I would be be overstimulated. But that's why we're tickled to be smaller. We're a 2-man operation. Even though we've had some friends through the years that have been a help, and we appreciate it. But basically, it's a 2-man operation. We only get so big. But honestly, I wouldn't want to get,
When you get too big, too, you get, problems. I mean, have you ever had any real, security problems or, had to throw people out?
Should I tell that story?
The names have to be changed.
Well, I mean, I won't mention his name. So, at one point, we were going to get a pretty good get. Like this person was somebody in the industry, and they were going to come to Red River. I don't know, talk about Red River. But through the grapevine, one of his people that he worked with or for him, whatever, said, listen, guys, there's a guy that's literally been like cyber stalking Person X. And this guy is like, he's saying that if that guy's going to be there, he's not coming. And I think that he came the first time to the first Red River. Yep. Guy was not, I worked in psych for years. I've worked a lot of different types of nursing in 30 years. And I really didn't feel threatened by this guy. But
he was a homeless guy.
But he was homeless, and he was an odd duck. I mean, I think this guy generally had a diagnosis. I mean, but because, I mean, I could tell you, but just trust me, he'll beg me. I mean, there's some of the things this guy did, his antics, something's not quite right. So anyway, about this time, Eddie's like, so that guy can't come. What are you going to do about it? So I'm like, all right, I'll email the guy. And I'm like, as nice as I could, I was like, I'm afraid you're persona non grata. You won't be welcome at Red River. And then Eddie's like, what are you going to do if he shows up or something? And
kiss him.
Yeah, I was like, it's like, I said, don't worry, I'll handle it. But needless to say, I took measures to handle things should they need to be handled.
Yeah, I could just imagine the problems, that happen with the bigger cons.
Yeah.
I imagine after 250, you'd have to start thinking about getting security in there or something like that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like at one point, I had someone approach me like, can we do cosplay? And ironically, this was just around the time that one cosplayer blew up the internet where a guy came up and hugged her without her permission, and she, cried and sobbed. And I'm not disparaging that girl.
Sounds like you are.
But anyway, the long and short of it was, Eddie's like, do you want some of that action? I'm like, hell no. And he goes, no cosplay. Yeah. I mean, it's just us having to protect ourselves because...
And it's an RPG con.
Well, that too. Through the years, we'll be like, can we do Magic? We're an RPG con. Can we do board games? We're an RPG con.
Can we dance up like ponies and prance around?
No.
RPGs. Get your own con.
No yiffing at our con.
So I understand you got other things going on. You want to talk about the Nameless group?
Yeah, talk about it.
You tell me.
Oh, man.
That you're so involved with these days.
So back in 1963, it was a cold winter day, but at one point in time, we had come back from TTRPG, so it had to be about 7 or 8 years ago, and I said, I'm going to start a game club, and Matt said, we should do a con. So I give Matt the credit. He came up with the idea. We had bumped it around, but he's the one that said, we're actually going to do it. This is going to happen. If he hadn't said it, it probably never would have happened. Whereas my brilliant idea was, let's do a game club, which those luckily dovetailed into each other just perfectly. But there was, and this is where I can't think of the name of it, Jeff Webb and the Dragoons, the Royal Order of the Dragoons, or whatever that game club that they had.
Yeah, out of East, great bunch.
Austin.
That's what I said, Austin.
But they had a big game club, and they came down to TTRPG, and I saw that, and I was like, man, there should be something like that. And they did RPGs and board games and just about everything, but for this, the focus was RPGs, and I was like, we need to get something like that going on. So we just said, hey, who in the local area is interested? And I guess we started our own little Facebook group at that time and said, who would be interested in coming out? And we thought we'd have the two of us looking at each other.
We might have one table. That first night we had 3 full tables.
Yeah.
Nice.
6 players and 1 GM, so...
How's that going now? Because I've subscribed to the Facebook thing, and some days I'm worried because he talked about attendance. Is it strong, or is it just kind of fledgling? Or
it was dying on the vine, and I will take some of the blame for that because I really haven't been doing that much with RPGs lately.
Well, it happens. You get burned out, and so
people move, people wander off, and
And one thing that happened towards the end was we had one person that was running games, and you'd have a dozen people show up that certainly wanted to play a game, but no one wanted to help facilitate. They'd show up with their character one and that's there and go, I'm ready to play. And it'd be like, so this poor person was, first of all, would go, well, this is too many people for one table. You hear what I'm saying here? No, you're not. So she'd run a game of like 10 and 12 people. That's ridiculous.
And then they complain about the game.
And then they bitch about, well, it wasn't very fun. Well, yeah, because you're not meant to play with that many people at one table.
It's like I cooked dinner for 6 and 12 people showed up. I didn't get very much to eat. Gee, I wonder why.
And
maybe you should have brought that.
How about to eat? One of you, shitbirds want to step up and help run. I think I hear my mom calling.
Everybody wants to eat. Nobody wants to cook.
Yeah. Yep. And so this gal, I wait for it. She burned out. And then not long after that, she moved. She's a sweetheart, great gal.
And we stopped doing organized play, which that seems like it's a necessary evil for game clubs.
Yeah.
Is you've got to have Adventures League or Pathfinder Society or something overarching like that.
And that's the thing I've brought back. I've got a bunch of these old Great Living Greyhawk adventures, and that's what the original Living Greyhawk was, this organized play back in, the early, like 2005, 6, 7, around that era. And I have access to all those great old modules, and they all segue together. Anyway, and so I've brought that back because it's an easy translation into CNC, Castles and Crusades, and I'm hoping to get that up and running. We had a full table 2 weeks ago. We had a full table last night, and we almost would have had 2 tables, but my extra game master I had on tap got food poisoning. You know, and because he's a diehard. I know you can count on this guy, but he was sick. But I'm hoping we'll get this up to like 2 and 3 and maybe 4 tables again. Because the one cool thing about organized play, this is what we even did before, we would play the campaign throughout the year at the game club, and then it would culminate at LongCon in a big epic mega adventure, an interactive it's called. So the idea is like, say, you show up for Tuesday night game night. All tables might be playing the same adventure, but you're all separate groups and you're like pocket dimensions, so to speak, playing. And at the end of it, it's fun. You might go to the Waffle House and go, hey, what'd you guys do against the Lich? Well, here's what we did, you know. Oh, well, man, we ran, you know, and like the other table, we TPK'd. So it could play out really differently. But the thing that's cool about the interactive is you're all playing the same adventure. 3 and 4 tables, and there's like the one big dragon that like you might go like, okay, we got to get to the top of Dragon Mountain. Well, we'll take the low tones. Well, we'll take the high. So they might be different things happening or whatever until you get there. But like the last final big battle, you're all there together. So like all of a sudden your table, the cleric bites it. You might call, crap, our cleric's down. Well, someone at this other table goes, I want to go help him. And the game master goes, all right, let me roll a die. It's going to take you 3 rounds to get there. Grab your dice and your sheet, run over to that table, let the GM know you're going to be arriving in 3 rounds. And you run over there.
Wow, okay.
And by the time you put that cleric back on his feet, and they're all like, thanks, man. You go, okay, stay out of trouble. And you run back to your table, you know. And so it's raucous and wild. I remember the first year there were siege engines, and it was cool.
Nice. And that's a good advertisement for cons in general, because there's so many things you can do at a con that you can't just do with your normal game group.
Yeah, people go, well, I got a game group. Well, I need to go to a con. Yeah, you can try new games, new game masters, pick up new techniques and things, you know.
That's how we found DCC.
Yeah,
we didn't go to a con. We would never heard about that.
No, never heard of it. Yeah.
It's always good to pick up new games that way. And speaking of that, because you brought up Castles and Crusades, are there any other adventures any other games besides Castles and Crusades and DCC you'd recommend for somebody to try?
Call of Cthulhu.
What's the saying? I'm a man of many and varied interests.
Yeah. Well,
that's one thing I think you can say about us is I guess we have our favorites, but we play just about everything. Because I got to throw out the plug for Barbarians. If you guys have listened to our podcast very much, you've heard us talk about Barbarians of the Ruined Earth.
Barbarians of the Ruined Earth by Mike Evans.
Yeah,
it's simple, a lot of fun, freewheeling. Imagine like, again, I hate these analogies, but it helps you wrap your head around. It's like professional wrestling meets Saturday morning cartoons.
Mad Max.
Yeah, Mad Max. Yeah. Okay. Like Thundar might be for some people, be like, huh? But go Google it, YouTube. Thundar the Barbarian. He-Man. Yeah, there you go.
That one comes up a lot every so often.
But put that in the mix of the stew.
Herculoids in there.
Right on. But no, Barbarians of the Ruined Earth is good stuff. It's actually based off the Black Hack. And the Black Hack has so many derivatives, and that's fun.
Yeah, Black Hack itself.
A Black Hack, Barbarians.
Osric one.
Absolutely. Castles and Crusades. Savage Worlds. Here's the thing is we were trying to get that go here locally, and for some reason it just didn't click with people. But it really is a simple game system. But the best thing about it, I've never, ever in 40 plus years of gaming liked those generic universal role-playing systems. Most of them, I don't want to alienate anybody, but I'm not fond of them. Savage Worlds got it right. That's one that once you know the core mechanic, hey, let's do post-APOC for a while. Oh, man, you have to learn a new game? No. We use the same Savage World rules, but here's the post-APOC book, kind of add-on rules. Oh, okay.
Which DCC has kind of got that going now, too. Because
that's true.
You've got the Weird Frontiers that I highly recommend.
And you've got Mutant Crawl Classics. And you've got Umerica, which I love that one. And Reed Sanfilippo's a great guy, and so is David Beatty, talking about. Sorry, I had chili earlier. But anyway, but no, just there's so many, and that's like Call of Cthulhu. We mentioned that there's going to be people running games of that at LongCon this year, and that's like I said, what a con's good for. Call of Cthulhu is really not a campaign game; it's good for one-offs. Yeah. So where do you go? Go to a con and play a one-off. And some of the people that usually tend to run it are very talented storytellers.
And that's the thing, too, with trying a lot of different games, you may find the one that you're the best suited for.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of do some of the horror stuff, and I remember you were running one, and you were like, I actually did quite well.
Well,
I mean, okay.
Yeah.
So I know that you guys are pretty well against Wizards of the Coast. And
what?
No, what? Anyway.
So are y'all still got a ban on... 5e stuff at
Nope, not at all.
But
what's ironic is
there's very little. There's more DCC and DCC derivatives than 5th edition D&D, if you can believe it, and that's not by our mandate or anything.
Yeah, it really isn't. That's what's funny was we had Brendan LaSalle come out from Goodman Games back in 2019. We're blessed. He was going to come last year, but he got COVID. He's supposed to come again this year. But at one point, Eddie, we were so tickled to have him out. He's a really nice guy and a great representative of Goodman Games. And but then we heard, like, through the grapevine, like, no more small cons. Like, Brendan can't just go to any con. It's got to be these bigger cons. We're like, we'll never see him again. Next thing he's like, hey, guys, I'm coming to the con. And we were like, what? But it's because even though we're a smaller con, Goodman Games gets a lot of love at our con. And then, again, that's not anything that we push. It's just... fortunately, the people that we know and come to our con tend to dig. And
we're putting the pressure on them to send us more special guests and get more of that DCC love down here.
Yeah, because we've got David Beatty coming, the guy who wrote Weird Frontiers, a super great guy.
And we tried to get Reed Sanfilippo,
but he's having some health problems.
If it wasn't for the health problems, I think we would get him.
I think we would, yeah. And we've got some great representatives in the community, like, again, our good friend John Watson, who just did a successful Kickstarter for Hell Train. It's an adventure written for Weird Frontiers, and it takes place in Jefferson, Texas. So that's, just down the road from us there. At least I think that's...
So how's y'all's campaigns going? I know that Eddie's got a published campaign, Chaos at Casino.
Carnage.
Oh, Carnage at Casino. I'm sorry.
Carnage in the
Casino. Which I do own a copy of, by the way.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
I've heard people have been up here looking for part 2.
Uh-oh.
They said they've been getting requests, so that's always good to hear.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you have another campaign in the works?
I certainly do.
Oh my, what is that?
My newest one is going to be called Meet Your Maker, and it's for Weird Frontiers, so I'm jumping genres here.
But is it completely jumping genres?
Yeah. It's a Western.
Okay.
Okay.
When should we expect to see that hitting shelves?
That is the $1,000,000 question, because first we have to get out Caverns of the Dead God.
Dun, dun, dun. Which will be coming to Kickstarter soon.
So he's got... This is one that you'll hear a lot on our podcast, too, that we have a lot of friends that are doing Kickstarters and doing Kickstarters all the time.
God
so
bless.
We don't want to do that.
I don't want to be that guy.
And Matt's got a million things in the barrel. He could just snap them out now.
And if you look in the credits, hopefully you'll see that me and Josh are both playtesters for Caverns of the Dead.
Give me some good feedback.
It's going to have a long list of playtesters.
Did you?
I've tested that a lot.
Speaking of, did you switch that ring around? I'm curious now. Because I told you switch it to a bracer.
The ring seems like it...
I told you switch it to a bracer because it would stay on the person
or change
rather than be on the hand.
Into like a spirit animal or something, so the ring wouldn't break if they...
You better change it. You're going to get in trouble. I can see the look on this guy's face.
You have to buy it to find out.
I'm just curious. Like,
just shut up and take my money already.
Well, guys, tell your listeners, what'd you think of it? It was crap, right?
That was great. I liked it.
There you go. That was the first time I ever played DCC, and now I'm running games of it. If that's anything. So
the hook is set.
Yeah, the hook was set.
Now, hold on a second. Talking about DCC in this local area and gaming, is there anything we need to put out there?
Well, we can, but that's not... I don't know. That one's still baking.
Yeah,
but
still cooking.
Goodman Games is going to be doing like local gong farmer unions or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be the presidents or governors or whatever you want to say. For this area, but we're trying to determine what that area is going to be. Is it going to be Texas?
Or is it going to be the Arklatex?
East Texas, Arklatex.
Because with the Arklatex, we got a lot of hoofing to do.
But that's what we originally started this with. We were the Arklatex road crew, and we ran games in Shreveport, and we've ran games in Texas, and we've tried to run them in Arkansas.
Yeah, we were going to do up in Texarkana at Excalibur. Really nice guys. We met them from the store.
Yeah, it seems like they were moving shops or something, and then COVID. So.
COVID ruined everything. But anyway.
So Matt's has got to come out, and then mine can come out. Yours is practically done, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm blasting through this one so much faster than Carnage. So
it's wild because Eddie is like, all right, I did my thing, and he was kind of resting on his laurels, and then this...
That might have very well been the last one. Like, I did it, don't ever bother me.
And then, I don't know, it suddenly had this epiphany, he got this fire in his belly, and then, boom, he took off like a rocket on this. Yep. So, I mean, he's already got artwork. I mean, he had artwork like day 2 or something, you know?
Yeah, that's how fast this one's going.
Yeah.
So, the artwork's the easy part. Just take a few pictures and then make a campaign around the artwork.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would imagine after going through all the pitfalls of the first one, you kind of know where they are and where to avoid them. No?
I think you'd have to do, at least me, I'd have to do about 10 or 20 before I learned all the ins and outs.
It's funny. I mean, everything Eddie told me about the hardships, he was spot on, you know. Just, yeah.
So if you have one, I encourage you to do it, to get it out there.
Sure, absolutely.
Even if you just make one copy and print it out for yourself, that's very reasonable and affordable that you can do that nowadays. Yeah. So, yeah, definitely do it. But it's a lot of work, and if you're not talented in like Photoshop or Adobe design layout stuff, it's going to be work. There's a lot to learn.
There's a different learning curve on these formatting programs.
But I definitely encourage you to do it yourself. The first time, the second and third, fifth, sixth time, you can take all the shortcuts you want. But I think at least once you should go through the whole pain of it.
Have the full money.
But it's very rewarding.
Absolutely. Sure. Oh, absolutely. I tell you, I dare say I probably, there's no way I could be more excited than Eddie, but I was pretty damn excited the day he did his Kickstarter. I was supposed to be working that day, and, you know, patients' vitals are alarming over here, and I'm really pulling up Kickstarter on my smartphone going, woohoo, and like texting, hey, you broke another threshold, buddy. You know, I'll get to you in a minute. You know, sir, don't die over
Which was a lot like when we first started doing the long con, and every time we'd sell a badge, we'd be like, the votes are in, we're doing so good, or well, it's not doing so good. We thought we'd have had more in by this, but it's been going great lately.
Yeah, and I know for a fact a couple of the people in my D&D groups already got their badges for
do you guys have your badges?
No, I didn't find out about you till it was too late.
Oh,
it's not too late.
It's not too late, buddy.
It's not too late.
It's never too late.
I will probably show up and mess with vendors, but I do not have a badge. No.
All right.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. You can we even have a certain number of walk-up badges that we're going to allow.
You might even work out a discount for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know, since you guys are good guys, you know. Yeah.
I don't know who's been lying to you. Okay.
They're good guys. Hey, you know, bippity bop.
Made guys.
Yeah, good fellas. You like them.
What other wonderful things can you say about it?
Well, any other projects y'all got working? I mean, are you already started working on Long Con Spring?
We won't start that until after Long Con, because then we'll do our famous poll where we say, how many of you want to do a Long Con Spring? And they'll go, hooray! And we'll go, all right, I guess we have a mandate from the people. We have to do it.
So you were so full of ourselves, high energy. You know, Eddie, when we're at the thing where we're talking to everybody Saturday evening, if you guys show up, you'll see what we're talking about. But we basically, real quick, in between game 2 and 3, everybody gets together in the big main room. And we kind of give away some stuff and kibitz or whatever for a second about, hey, you know, how are y'all having fun, everybody, whatever. And Eddie's like, what do y'all think about spring? Well, yeah, everybody's in the moment like, woohoo, and they all go, yay, spring, you know.
And then I say, well, Matt, we've got to do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so we go to meet with a representative from the hotel, and we go, well, how do we do? All the women gushed. Oh, she was just, it was the best thing ever. You guys are great, and we can't wait to have y'all back. And all of our servers are fighting for who's going to take care of you next year. I said, well, on that note, then, what do you think about spring? And the woman just laughed and said, no. Because that's wedding season, and that's where they make their big money. As much as they love it, but we'll see after year 2, maybe they'll finally have enough love for us.
Our gaming weekend, Long Con Spring, up here at Dragon's Nest.
Yeah, and that went
was
well.
Very well received, I think.
Yeah, that went well. We had people coming from as far as like Dallas for that.
Yeah, and we generated some good sales for these guys too.
Which is good. Yeah. So who knows? That might be Spring Con again, the Spring Fling.
Always good to support the FLGS anyway.
Especially if they're F friendly.
Yeah.
Yes.
They ain't friendly, you ain't got to support
If
them.
they ain't friendly, please don't give them your money.
Yeah.
Yes, this place is definitely getting a Christmas card from me and my wife this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Dee and Steve are just really good people. I mean, on top of it, it's a great store, but it's just really nice when it's run by nice people.
Yeah, in Geek World, I could say the same.
Oh,
for
yeah,
that.
Mark and his wife are sugar plums. Oh, and best of wishes and get well soon to Mark's mom.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm not talking out of school, but yeah.
But we love those guys too,
Oh,
and they've
absolutely.
been big supporters of the con. They helped us get off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
We started so much of our DCC stuff there.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, Dragon's Nest sprouted up on my way there, and you guys were closed down for a while, so now it's like I got to drive past a great game shop to get to another great game shop. So we still have all the love for them. We just don't get out there as much.
Yeah.
But I need to check out one of those RPG days too that they're doing.
Yeah, we've talked about
That's it.
it.
Next Saturday, the 28th. And they do them the last Saturday of every month.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
And like the 28th one, because it's October 28th, it'll be Halloween themed.
Oh.
And the one in December will be Christmas themed, things like
I'm
that.
going to be running Blood on the Clock Tower up here on Halloween if you have nothing better to do.
Oh,
I have to see how many signups I have. But that
On actual
went into
Halloween?
into my board game roots.
Yeah.
That's like better Werewolf. If you guys have played that card game Werewolf, it's better because in this one you actually get information instead of just like, I think you're the werewolf because you blinked twice. This one's like, okay, I know somebody in this village is this character, so who is this character? Oh, you are? Okay, let's chat and start putting our information together. And then you find out that they lied to you. They were never that character, and that's where it gets really good. All the deception games.
So, have any of y'all played any decent video games lately? Now we're going to our usual weekly stuff.
Did you play video games?
I've been playing a PC game, EverQuest. It's about 23 years old.
Oh God, it's got to be older than that. That came out when I was in high school in the 90s.
It came out in 1999, so right there at the cusp of the turn of the century. So, but yeah, there's a guy that does like a free-to-play server that's really well implemented, and I've been playing with some old buddies, and we've been having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. And I just finished God of War Ragnarok, which if you haven't played it at all, really great game, and for those of us that are dads, it's got a good deep message to it.
Yeah, is that the one that just came out, or is that the one from a couple years ago?
The one from a couple of years ago was the first part of it, and then maybe about a year ago, the sequel came out, and I just got around to it.
Because you said good things about that one.
Yeah, both of them. So this one completes the story. Very good. Completes the cycle. I really liked it. I don't know if it was as good as the first one, but the first one has the advantage of being the first and being unique, where it's like, this is new and different, and you're like, no, this is more of the same. Do I like it as much? Yeah. It's still good. I still recommend the whole thing to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you guys think about the recent acquisition of Microsoft? Xbox just bought, what was it, Activision?
But what's the number one selling system? PlayStation 5, baby.
Well, it sure is, but for long. Like, if you want to play Fallout, better be an Xbox. You want to play Skyrim, better be an Xbox. I mean,
they'll have to do something, but it's turning into a monopoly.
That's what I'm saying. This is like there was a time when we didn't allow these sort of things, these monopolies, and I mean, they've got everything, man. Between Blizzard,
and they still ain't winning.
It's true.
They still ain't winning.
I hear you. I mean, don't get me wrong. What do I own? PlayStation. But
I own a PlayStation 4, so yeah.
But why do you own a PlayStation?
Because
I own a PlayStation.
Yeah, because you bamboozled me into it.
It's like, I'm on the PlayStation line. If you want to play games with me,
But I'll say what it's worth. I own a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2. I've never owned an X product. So, but like my nephew, the one I got him into gaming, is a big gamer or whatever, Xbox.
Well, I think I own everything PlayStation that's come out in the U.S. Like I actually have a PS Vita. How many people got that, right? I have a PS TV.
Oh, wow.
Remember that one?
Okay.
So, and then I have all of the Nintendo stuff.
Just think about it. PlayStation would have been a part of Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that PC game, so it's like something's got to fall out. Xbox has been the one, just because they were the the Johnny Come Lately.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I still stick to my age-old thing of I quit video games for tabletop and haven't looked back since.
So you're one of these like one hobby kind of guys?
No, I really dropped video games because I got tired of being cussed at by 12-year-olds. And so I would much rather play something where I'm looking at my opponent. But no, I mean,
You need to get on that Elden Ring kick.
No.
Yes.
I will...
Get some of that Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I do tabletop RPGs, I do miniature games, I do all that, but I don't...
Yeah, did you see any good movies lately?
Gosh, well, it's like, it's funny, even though it's not necessarily a Halloween movie, but when it's this time of the year, I like to watch scary movies, and it turns out my new bride likes horror movies and that sort of thing, so we busted out The Thing the other day and watched it. That's a classic.
Yeah.
You know.
John Carpenter's or one of the remakes?
John Carpenter's. Yeah, and that's just, I remember as a kid, that scared the shit out of me.
Now, I will say it's not as good, but I do like the Thing that came out
Like the prequel?
5-10 years ago?
Yeah.
The one where it's at the, what is it,
The Norwegian
station, the
Yeah.
outpost. I like that one.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that one. Yeah, I need to check it out.
Last episode, we talked about what was best in life and reviewed Conan. This time, we're going to review what was worst in life, and we're going to review Conan the Destroyer. Talk about how that one tanked, and
Conan can do no wrong.
That's right.
I think the reason that one tanked is they got money hungry and decided to go PG-13 with it. They're figuring, let's get more people in the box office by dropping the ratings, and if we can get the kids in the seats, we'll get more money. No, I don't think so.
All right, stand up for the Destroyer. Go on.
Well, I mean, you're right.
It had the cast. It had Andre the Giant. It had
Grace Jones.
It had, I can't think of his name.
Wilt
Chamberlain, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it had the cast.
Absolutely. But they probably leaned into the comedy a little too hard because you had Malik. We're like,
you love Malik.
Well,
you
sure.
Can't get enough of it.
No, I'm not complaining about it.
Help.
Here, let me help. That's classic. But one thing I love,
I'm
and
trying
that's
to prevent infection.
to me, ironically, the best thing from that movie, was the Wizard Stool. Now tell me you didn't like the Wizard Stool.
Which is so DCC.
Yeah,
that's Wizard Stool.
Yeah.
Now,
when the guy goes ching ching with his bracelets, and they're standing there, you see their eyes blazing and steam. So the idea is, as they're standing
and that's
there,
how you win a Wizard's Duel.
Exactly. What's funny is they're just standing there, but you have to imagine they're in some astral vista and energies are flying and they're giant neon warriors, but the whole time they're just standing there just intensely looking at each other until the one guy goes, and his heart stops or whatever.
I'm just trying to figure how that one killed the series. Or was it that? Was it because the author died and
I think it was Dino De Laurentiis passed around that time. It seemed like after that.
Well, whatever their movie group was too. I actually watched. I can't remember if it was a good YouTube video or what, but they were talking about that and how that whatever
it was supposed to be like a 4-movie deal.
I was supposed to say through the years, numerous times they've talked about, because you remember always at the end they would show with a furrow King Conan stroking his beard, and everyone's like, "Come on, you got to get Arnie." And I mean, Arnie ain't getting any younger. Like if they keep talking about doing
in the next year or two, which he just said they're not going to because there's some kind of rights issues.
That sucks. It's a shame.
And I don't know what they were thinking with the Momoa stuff.
Yeah, I'm not great. At that one, I had high hopes because I like Jason Momoa, and at the time he had the physicality for it, but it was just, again, what's played a lot of stuff nowadays, bad writing. I think it was just really bad writing on that one. Because, they had the budget. They had the guy that played the bad guy, I can't think of his name right now, but that guy plays an amazing bad guy. He's a great actor. He was, first time I remember ever seeing him was when he played in Tombstone. A lot of people don't know that's the same guy. But the one that was, in the movie when they come up behind him, they crack him in the back of the head and knock him out. And he's the one that, at the end, he throws his sash away,
Law don't go around here.
Law dog, yeah.
Ike.
Yeah, Ike Clinton. But, in that, a lot of people were a little chunkier, and he leaned up. And, like, the movie where it's, like, the blind guy and the people go in there, the horror movie from recent years, that's the same guy,
Yeah, to me, Conan's been plagued kind of like the DC universe has been plagued. Every time it got a good start, it just kind of fizzled out.
But if you need your Conan fix, they've got some really great comics, and especially like the Dark Horse ones too.
Oh yeah. I know some of these, like over in Tyler at Ground Zero, they had for a while they were discounting them down. They had those compilation, where it's a bunch of them
The
in one.
collection. These are graphic novels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bought some of those because it was a good deal. Who doesn't love Conan?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of comics, I know Eddie's a big comic book guy. You reading good comics lately?
Yeah, that new Void Rivals. It's the guy that does Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman. So he's kind of got his own comic line at Image, which is Skybound, which has a lot of good stuff. But they've started Void Rivals in the Energon universe. So it's a Transformers world, and then their first issue of the Transformers came out. And here's a spoiler alert, just to show you how different this is. If you guys, I know this is back in the day, and it's kind of had resurgences and what do you know about it, but the Ark crash lands on Earth, and then the computer boots up and starts bringing them back to life. So in this one, that's happening again for the millionth time. But the first thing that Starscream does when he jumps up is shoot Bumblebee in the face while he's just laying there on the ground. So it's like, that ain't your daddy's Transformers anymore. They're not kidding around. Major characters are going to die.
Kirkman, man.
So, yeah. And that was really cool because he's I like him, but he's such an overused character that it was like, all right, that's a way to make a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And talking about Kirkman, season 2 of Invincible.
Yeah, I love Invincible.
It's coming out on Amazon, right?
Soon. That's the last thing I remember.
But I just saw the the demo promo teaser for this next season. It's like, oh man,
was that the one where they were sitting in the diner? There's one where Invincible and Alan, the alien, are sitting in the diner talking to each other.
This one was like there was these blue guys beating on him, and he looks like all bloodied up, and at one point they got him down on his knees, and he looks like they're about to kill him or something. And
Invincible gets a lot of that, which that's a great line of comics to read too, and they've done such a good job sticking to the comics on that right now.
Yeah, Kirkman's a talented guy.
Have you read any more of the Powder Mage books?
Yeah. I'm on Crimson Campaign now. Of those, if you guys aren't familiar with that, or are familiar with that, it's a book trilogy by Brian McClellan, and it focuses around the basis of the book is the army staged a coup, and it's about the power vacuum that happens in that. It's in a subgenre called Flintlock Fantasy. It's like 1980s meets swords and sorcery. And the main character, he is a powder mage. And so he ingests black powder, and he can control, he can slow down time or, move his bullets around and things for his little musket that he uses.
And you said 1980, but you mean 1880?
Yeah, 1880, sorry. Okay. Nine. Showing my age, I'm sorry. 1980 is still before me, so that's fine.
You're like way back in that ancient time,
Yeah, like 1780, 1880.
Yeah. No, that sounds cool, man.
Somewhere there's a question we've asked every one of our guests so far.
I love my granddad.
Yeah, me too.
There's an inside joke.
What is your best tabletop shenanigan you've gotten into or had somebody do at your table? There's got to be one that pops off in your mind.
Yeah, that's a good question for you, Matt.
You're
ready.
No, not at all.
While you think about it, I'll give my most recent one.
Go ahead.
Because we were talking about David Hubbard a little bit earlier. He ran a vampire game up here at Dragon's Nest for us during Walk-On Spring. And I ended up joining in as a, the Nosferatu type of vampire clan. And basically his thing was the obfuscation and being invisible, and him just creeping along behind the party whispering, "No witnesses." For all the murder hoboing stuff that we were doing while he remained invisible as much as he could.
Okay.
So, talking about how you really can't, not to say, a very talented game master and players could do a campaign of Call of Cthulhu, but it seems to me it's just better suited for one-offs, because you're either going to die or go insane. If you don't, okay, great, but you will next time, And why would any sane person keep putting themselves in that sort of jeopardy? but talking about you were going to play in a Call of Cthulhu campaign, and you were so
You're
excited.
talking about my shenanigans?
Yeah, and so this was what I was. Talking about this last character? Like, no, wait, this is. So you were going to play the campaign, and what was your character's name?
I don't even remember, but he was like mini me, right?
He was like Shorty McClure or something, and he was a little person, and
which is where we rolled the stats for our characters, which is a change for me for Call of Cthulhu, because it's always like, here's your pre-gen, let's go.
Yeah.
So I rolled the absolute worst stats, and like the height he was like 4'4" or something like that. Nice. So it was like, all right, we need to have some sort of reason or theme for him, but yeah, that was pretty much it. He just turned into like mini me from Austin Powers.
But I was thinking like what he's supposed to have been like. He'd work for a sideshow or something for a while.
Because I mean, you have to have a rean of what this guy's doing. And he had good athletics.
Yeah, so he was a tumbler or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think of.
Somebody burned down an orphanage in one of my games.
What? Anyway, so yeah, I've got. It's like it's fun to make a new character and make that new legend, but sometimes you can't help but go back to an old favorite character. I would say at least if you've been gaming for 40 plus years, and when we went to start up, you were running like some one-offs at like a local game store or whatever, and I dug up an old favorite, which is my little halfling rogue, Scully. And Scully, it's funny, most people are like, do y'all know what Kinders are?
Dragonlance.
Dragonlance, yeah.
Kinders from Dragonlance, yes.
Okay, one more reason why, and I know I'm going to piss somebody off, not the biggest fan of Dragonlance. Yeah, I said that. And one of the things was they introduced the Kinder. And after that, everyone who played a darn halfling in a role-playing game, whoop-a-doo, I'm a happy-go-lucky child like Kinder or whatever. Ugh. So anyway,
your stuff is my stuff.
So Scully was my answer to that. Scully was the biggest, awfulest, most terrible little scumbag, and I mean, and he wasn't happy. I mean, he was.
I didn't notice any difference. I thought that was just you not role playing at all, just being yourself.
But he's just like a curmudgeon, and he's grumpy, and he's mean spirited, and whatever.
Check.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, it seems like at one point we needed a diversion, and in the moment, trying to channel Scully. Burning the orphanage was the best way to cause a diversion.
And I remember we had one of these drop-in, drop-out nights that you couldn't make it for. So I did the DMPC of Scully, and everybody's like, that was fantastic. And I was like, yeah, that's a character that I've seen Matt do enough. I can play that guy.
Well, that's why it's kind of like this imitation is the sincerest form. Was when he went to play a paladin in a campaign.
That's true.
Yeah, he was basically like channeling this one obnoxious, kind of Zap Brannigan-esque paladin that I played for a while. Now, I freaking turned the volume
on. Oh man, Superman's here.
That's right.
Nice. Turn their volume on.
I turned it down.
That's going on the greatest hits.
Yep. But anyway. But yeah, so no, I mean, and then I had a character that was, I've played a few times, he's a necromancer, and he would do some crazy stuff, because he was literally supposed to be, like the idea was he would talk to ghosts. Well, is it because he's a necromancer and he really can talk to ghosts, or is he just crazy? And I never established which one it was, so you could guess. Okay. And hilarious, one adventure was written into it, where we had to escort a group of children safely, like from one village to another. And they gave all the little children different little personalities. One of the little girls was talking to herself, and my character went to her and said, you really shouldn't talk to yourself. People will think you're crazy. And everyone at the table fell out because, of course. Yeah. But this, at one point we were in a farmhouse, and I love when a game master, and here's some advice, guys. When you see your players try to play to something, try to maybe, if it's not something obnoxious, empower it. It was great that I'd established certain was laid down on the ground where the necromancer is a little crazy. And so at one point they're in a farmhouse, and they go in the room. It's like the children's room, like the abandoned farmhouse. And there's a doll in the chair, and everybody stands in the door looking, and we're going to leave. And about that time, the game master goes, you see the doll turns towards you and is like, what are you looking at? And so my character went over and got into an argument with the doll. Of course, everyone else is just seeing him arguing with the doll.
Yeah.
And so what's funny was I snatched the doll up for for the next 15 adventures. It'd be like, what do you think we should do? And my character would go, well, let's consult Mr. Doll, and I had a lot of fun with that. And in one climactic battle, we're fighting like an arch elemental. It's like a fire elemental, and this thing's like 3 times as big as a traditional one. I mean, it's a prince from the Flame of Fire, and everyone's pulling out all the stops and all that stuff you've been saving. That one potion you haven't used that you got that one time, pull out the one. So that finally it's my turn. They're like, "What are you gonna do?" And my character goes, "Well, let me consult the doll," And they're like, "No, man, you need to do something or whatever." So about that time, I was like, "Attack, Mr. Doll," and I threw the doll at the fire. And that was my round.
Let me roll the dice and see what it says that I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, so definitely I've had a few interesting characters.
Okay. Good.
Some shenanigans.
But not the snail cleric.
But
not the snail cleric.
No, not the snail cleric.
Well, I think...
Oh, is that from Sanctum of the Snail or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
I
thought maybe.
If you listen to enough of our episodes, we've brought up the Snail Priest.
Okay.
Probably half dozen times. He's one of these people that ran. And again, what cons are great for? When it's great, it's great. When it's bad, it's epic. Because you'll meet some people that you'll tell stories for the rest of your life about how downright peculiar or crazy or... reference that story. Somebody shot in a combat last night and almost hit one of their allies, and made me think about a guy that I almost came to blows with at a con.
Well, we both did.
Yeah, I was like, if you shoot into combat one more time, I'm for real coming across this table and I'm going to drag you outside and beat the shit out of you. It's like, the guy kept shooting into combat and hitting us, and he almost killed his fellow players. And we're like, quit shooting into combat. We're sorry you can't use your bow, but it's like, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, hopefully we've made this your longest episode ever.
It is.
It is.
And that's fine. It's all good.
It's great. I mean, our usual episode's about 25 minutes, so, we've shattered our record.
So you can cut this up in about 4 or 5 parts.
There you go.
We can cut it into 2 if we have to.
What's going to be awesome is if he finds out later, we've had ones where we did the whole thing, that's one of our best ever, and then later when he goes to play it, one of the mics wasn't working, and it's all just Eddie talking to himself. Or
no, everything's been working the whole time. So.
No, we need a good long episode. We can make this a special episode.
Yeah, we can do that.
This one to go to sleep to.
Yeah. What's the name of y'all's podcast? Just for
it's the No Class Podcast with your buddies
Eddie
and Matt.
Okay.
Yep. And then we have our Twitch channel on the Goodman Games Twitch channel.
Which is like No Class Live.
Yeah, No Class Live cast.
And then I just started a board game podcast, which is Dice and Mallet. I'm Dice. I'm claiming that right now. Neither one of us is Dice or Mallet, but I'm claiming Dice.
I
think you got to take one of them.
The Dice Man cometh.
And remember to subscribe to the Council of the Dungeon Masters on Facebook. And like and subscribe to the Geekend Warriors on Facebook. And remember, what does not kill you gives you experience.